Politically, the Pentagon reacted fast. A statement was released within hours, condemning the attack as an unprovoked act of aggression against U.S. interests in the Gulf. The White House called an emergency meeting of the National Security Council. President and senior advisors debated the scale of the response. Retaliation was certain, but escalation had to be controlled. The risk of full-scale war loomed. Iran's reaction was calculated. First, officials denied direct involvement, blaming regional militias instead. But within days, the Revolutionary Guard praised the strike as a defensive action against foreign occupiers. Tehran made it clear that the attack was a warning. U.S. assets in the Gulf were vulnerable, and Iran had the tools to strike them at will. In the Gulf itself, the Navy wasted no time. U.S. jets conducted patrols over the suspected launch areas. Reports suggested that American destroyers fired Tomahawk cruise missiles at several coastal positions believed to house drone launchers. Satellite imagery showed fire and smoke rising from Iranian military sites, though Tehran downplayed the damage. For the men who survived the rig, the outcome was personal. Their workplace, their home at sea, was gone. They watched as fires consumed it, knowing it might never be rebuilt. For the U.S. Navy, the lesson was clear. Fixed assets in the Gulf, no matter how well defended, were sitting targets. The outcome was not just destruction, it was escalation. One strike had shifted the balance of power in the Gulf. One strike had reminded the world that drones, cheap and expendable, could shake even the strongest navy. And one strike had brought the U.S. and Iran closer to open conflict than they had been in years. The drone strike on the U.S. oil rig was more than a single attack. It was a signal of the new era of warfare. In the past, battles in the Persian Gulf were fought with ships, submarines, and missiles. Today, the front line belongs to drones, small, cheap, and hard to stop. The lesson is simple, but dangerous. Even the most advanced military can be caught off guard. Billions of dollars in defenses could not fully protect against weapons costing a fraction of that price. This imbalance is shaping the future. Wars will not always be won by who has the largest fleet or the strongest missiles. They may be decided by who can build and launch the most drones. For the U.S., the attack was a wake-up call. It showed that its assets, both military and economic, remain exposed in the Gulf. It showed that Iran can strike where it hurts most, not just ships, but infrastructure tied to global energy.
Why?
And it showed that modern conflict does not always start with tanks or bombers. It can begin with small engines buzzing low over the water. For Iran, the strike was a message. It reminded Washington that Tehran is willing to take risks. It proved that the Revolutionary Guard's drone program is not just propaganda, but a real capability. And it reinforced Iran's belief that asymmetric warfare is the only way to level the field against a superpower. For the world, the event was a warning. Global markets felt the shock instantly. A single strike pushed oil prices up and sent ripples through economies thousands of miles away. If the Gulf became a war zone, the consequences would not stop at its shores. This attack was not only about oil, it was about control, influence, and survival. The Persian Gulf remains the chessboard of global power, and drones have become the new pawns that can tip the game. In the end, the burning rig told a story. It told us that no target is too small, no weapon too cheap, and no night too quiet to be safe. And it left one haunting truth. The future of war has already arrived.